So tell me, Lester, in terms of, in the light of George Floyd, what's your view on the Black Lives Matter movement, and should the church be out there protesting, demonstrating, and speaking truth to power?
It's a great cause. I mean, I can't imagine anybody who saw that footage and who was not moved, you know, to the point where you just don't want to see it anymore. You know, it really, it is traumatic. And the wave of energy that it has created in terms of people talking about racial injustice, I think that's great. And I think that the churches need to be at the forefront of that. And Black lives do matter. And I'm hearing people say, yeah, but all lives matter. One of the problems that we have with that statement is that is not recognizing the disparity, the difference. Yeah, all lives matter, but it's as if some lives matter more than others. And what we're trying to say is, no, all lives matter. When I talk about, you know, part of one of the things I do is I train on diversity and inclusion. And I used to do a lot of work around equality. And when I mention equality, you can see people pulling back, because it's almost as if I'm going to give you equality status, I'm losing something. It's as if equality is a finite lump, and that every time I give something away, I'm losing. And so I started talking about equity. And so what Black Lives Matter says is that equity is a quality. It's a quality of being treated fairly, you know? And so there's a difference between, you know, oh, I'm treating you equally to Paul. Yes? Well, that might be great, but maybe you weren't treating Paul equally to somebody else. So treating me equally to Paul doesn't necessarily mean that we're getting a fair deal. Whereas if we apply equity, I think that's great. You know, I've got a son, and at 11, I had to sit him down and say, listen, you are a black boy. And he's like, yeah, what does that mean, Dad? And I said, it means that life is really different for you. Now, of course, nearly all of his friends were white, and he just, you know, at 11, you don't see that. You don't necessarily pick up on those vibes, but, you know, I was, you know, how you behave and how people respond to you and how you respond to others will be magnified. By the time he was 13, he knew exactly what I meant.
Well, let's keep using your son as an example for a second. So your son is walking down Cardiff High Street, and he sees a policeman, and he sees an advert for a job which he wants to apply for. How is his experience different to somebody the same age but white walking down the same street?
Okay, so here we go. You know, and I can apply that to myself or even to my son. Again, it is about that. It's about being conscious that just being black and walking down that street, the chances of him being stopped, the chances of him being, you know, quizzed or even stopped and searched are so much higher. And what I say, I had to have the conversation. When this happens, this is how you behave. Because if you behave in another way, you will be locked up in a cell. You know, they'll start the process on you. And so, you know, that just having that and, you know, having those conversations.
Job interviews and applying for jobs. So I want to tell a story about a friend of mine called Delroy. Delroy had a very good first-class degree from Swansea University in economics. I was saddened to find out that Delroy had to change his name on his applications before he got an interview. So he was putting out all these applications, could not get an interview for a job, and somebody says to him, do you know why? Because it's Delroy. And he's like, what do you mean? It's because Delroy says black, and they will not even shortlist you. He changed his name to Tony, got an interview so quickly he couldn't believe it. Ended up heading up a team and you know, doing really well. It's that sort of thing. So as we finish, what is your hope? Do you have hope for the future in terms of racism, in terms of society? What's your hope? Where's it based?
So my hope is based in God. It really is. It is based in the fact that the church has a role to play in society. And I think that if we can, as a church, impact ourselves, firstly, we really have to believe this stuff. When I go into training, I know that all I'm doing is affecting behavior. People know that if you do this when you come into work, you will be punished. That's not what, you know, salvation's about. Yes, we need our very natures transformed. And so if the church and as Christians, if we do what we should do, which is, you know, love from the heart, we will see a difference because our children and our children's children will have that in them.
you know. And when we talk to people and they are in their safe places, so somebody might bump into you, and because you're a white man, Paul, they might think, oh, it's all right to say, or what about all this nonsense?
Yeah.
We need to stand up for the truth
Yeah.
and say, actually, I believe that there should be equity. I believe that we should be treating people fairly because they have a right for that.
Wonderful. Well, Lester, that's been wonderful. And thank you so much for coming in a second time.
It's okay,
Really
it's been a pleasure.
appreciate that.
It's been a real pleasure.
God bless you.
Thank you very much.